The California sun bleeds over the 112th Street corridor of Nickerson Gardens, casting long, jagged shadows across the stucco facades of the largest public housing complex west of the Mississippi. From a bird's-eye view, the sprawling grid of the bounty hunter Blood's territory looks like a master-planned community. On the ground, it functions as a high-stakes corporate headquarters where the currency is fear and the product is survival. We often view the Bloods through the lens of chaos, a frantic, unorganized rebellion of the marginalized. This is a lethal misconception. What exists within these zip codes is not a riot. It is a rigid, multi-generational hierarchy that mimics the precision of a Fortune 500 company and the discipline of a Ranger battalion. This is the Crimson Pyramid. It is a structure built on the seductive promise of brotherhood and protection, yet its internal mathematics reveal a darker truth. The pyramid is a meat grinder. It is designed to be a self-liquidating labor force. The lower tiers exist in a state of permanent probation, acting as a human firewall that insulates the upper management from the legal and physical consequences of their directives. In this economy, loyalty is not a virtue. It is a liability. The more heart a recruit shows at the bottom, the more likely he is to be sacrificed to ensure the board of directors at the top remains untouched. It is a Ponzi scheme of violence where the entry-level salary is paid in lead and the retirement plan is a 6-foot hole in the ground. The geography of the block dictates the flow of the business. In Nickerson Gardens or the sprawling blocks of Compton's West Side Piru, the architecture itself serves as a defensive fortification. Narrow alleyways act as choke points. Tall fences provide hopovers for quick escapes that patrol cars cannot follow. This isn't just a neighborhood, it's a theater of operations. The social barriers are even more impenetrable than the concrete. Crossing from one street to the next can mean transitioning from a neutral zone to a hot war. The frontier is marked not by signs, but by the color of shoelaces, the tilt of a hat, or the specific graffiti tags that claim the brickwork. Within these borders, the set functions as a sovereign state. It has its own tax system, its own judicial process, and its own standing army. The social contract here is simple. The set provides you with an identity and a defensive perimeter, and in exchange, you surrender your autonomy. You become a cell in a larger organism. This organism requires constant feeding. It consumes the youth of the block to maintain its caloric intake of territory and respect. The anatomy of the set is a study in brutal efficiency, where every role is defined, every movement is tracked, and every failure is met with a corrective measure that usually involves a trauma center. The vetting process begins long before the first punch is thrown. In the shadows of a playground on a Tuesday afternoon, a 12-year-old boy stands on a milk crate. He isn't playing, he's watching. He is a lookout in training, though he doesn't know the title yet. The older members, the young gangsters, watch him from a parked SUV with tinted windows. They aren't looking for the strongest kid or the fastest runner. They are looking for heart. They are looking for the kid who doesn't flinch when the police cruiser rolls slow. They are looking for the one who stays at his post when the rival blue car creeps through the intersection. Recruitment is a slow-burn observation. Once the target is identified, the put-on is scheduled. This is the forensic test of the pyramid. The initiate is surrounded by 3 or 4 active members. For a time duration, usually 60 to 90 seconds, he must endure a relentless physical assault. He cannot run. He cannot plead. He must fight back against impossible odds. This ritual isn't about teaching him how to fight. The set knows he can fight. It's about determining if he can endure pain without snitching. It's a stress test for the no-snitching, non-disclosure agreement that governs the entire corporation. If he breaks under the fists of his brothers, he will surely break under the interrogation of the LAPD. A teenage boy named Marcus stands in a dimly lit alley behind a row of apartment units. His breath hitches in the cold night air. For men, their faces obscured by hoodies, form a circle around him. No words are exchanged. The stopwatch clicks. The first blow catches him in the ribs, folding him like a lawn chair. He hits the pavement and the boots follow. He curls into a ball, but then he remembers the code. He reaches out, grabs a pant leg, and pulls himself up, swinging blindly into the darkness. He tastes copper. His vision blurs as a fist connects with his temple. He falls again, but he doesn't cry out. He waits for the click of the watch. When it comes, the beating stops instantly. A hand reaches down to pull him up. "You're in," a voice whispers. Marcus is now a TYG, a tiny young gangster. He thinks he has joined a family. In reality, he has just signed a contract to be the first person killed in the next territorial dispute. Nearby, a mother named Elena watches through the slats of her window blinds. She saw the shadows in the alley. She heard the dull thuds of boots hitting flesh. She doesn't call the police. Calling the police is a death sentence in Nickerson Gardens. She turns away and continues folding laundry, her hands shaking. Her own son is only 10. She calculates the years she has left before the pyramid claims him too. She wonders if she can move to the Inland Empire before the vetting starts for him. The collateral damage of the recruitment phase isn't just the broken ribs of the boys. It's the slow, grinding erosion of the parents' souls as they watch the street-level recruiters harvest their children like seasonal crops. The recruitment phase ensures that the pyramid has a steady supply of disposable assets. These boys are the entry-level employees who perform the most dangerous tasks for the lowest reward. They are the ones who hold the work, the narcotics, and the burners, the guns. Because they are minors, the legal consequences for their actions are lighter, making them the perfect tactical shield for the older members. The pyramid exploits the juvenile justice system as part of its business model. Once put on, the recruit enters the TYG, tiny young gangster tier. This is the infantry. The economics of this level are devastating. A TYG might spend 12 hours a day on a hot corner, moving small quantities of product and acting as a human alarm system. For this, they might earn $50 a day, or perhaps just the protection of the set. They take 90% of the risk, exposure to drive-bys, police raids, and rival ambushes, for less than 10% of the profit. Above them are the YGS, young gangsters. These are the active members who have survived their time on the corner and have put in work. Putting in work is a euphemism for committing a violent act on behalf of the set. The YGS manage the distribution. They handle the re-up and ensure the TYGS are at their posts. They are the mid-level supervisors who keep the machine humming. They carry the heavy firearms and coordinate missions into rival territory. A black sedan idles at a red light on the border of Pyru and Crypt territory. Inside, a YG known as Trigger hands a 9mm Glock to a 15-year-old TYG. "You see that house with the blue porch? You go up, you empty the clip, you run back. Don't look back." The boy's hands are sweating. He's thinking about the OG status he's been promised if he pulls this off. He's thinking about the respect. He isn't thinking about the 3 cameras on the corner or the fact that Trigger has already planned to ditch the car. And the boy, if the cops show up, the boy steps out. The air is heavy with the scent of jasmine and car exhaust. He crosses the street. The mission is a success in the eyes of the set, but the profit for the boy is a life sentence. He is caught 3 blocks away. Trigger is back at the trap, housed within 20 minutes, already looking for a replacement. A shop owner on the corner, Mr. Henderson, watches the police tape go up. He's been here 30 years. He's seen 3 generations of Triggers and hundreds of boys like the one in handcuffs. Every time a mission happens, his insurance premiums go up. His customers stay home. The local economy is a ghost town because the street economy is a war zone. The pyramid doesn't just consume the boys. It consumes the neighborhood's potential for growth. The active tier ensures that the block remains in a state of perpetual instability, which is exactly what the upper management needs to keep the police focused on the chaos rather than the corporation. The YG tier is the most volatile. It is the layer where the highest number of casualties occur. It is designed to cycle every 3 to 5 years. If you aren't dead or in prison by 21, you might move up to the OYG original young gangster level. This is the beginning of the management layer. The OYGS are the survivors. They have spent 5 to 10 years in the trenches and have likely served at least 1 significant prison term. They no longer stand on corners. They are the strategists of the block. One of their primary responsibilities is managing the sets box. Every active member is required to kick up a percentage of their weekly earnings, whether from drugs, robberies, or extortion, to the box. This is the collective treasury. It is used to pay for bail, funeral expenses for fallen members, and the purchase of high-grade weaponry. The treasurer of the set is often an OYG who has a head for numbers and a reputation for being straight. If the box is short, someone pays in blood. This is internal discipline. The OYGs also manage the enforcers. The enforcer is a specialized role, usually a high-performing YG whose only job is to punish internal infractions. Violating the code, using the product you're supposed to sell, snitching, or showing cowardice results in a violation. A violation can range from a DP, departmental pull-aside, which is a controlled beating by your own set, to being greenlit, which is a death warrant. Inside a cramped apartment, 3 men sit around a kitchen table littered with stacks of $5 and $10 bills. The box is an old Nike shoebox. The treasurer, a man with a jagged scar across his throat, counts the money with surgical precision. "Lil man is short 50, he says flatly. An OYG leans back, sipping a soda. "He's been spending it on that girl in Long Beach. Give him a DP, 2 minutes. Body shots only. We need him on the line tomorrow." The coldness of the decision-making is chilling. There is no brotherhood here. There is only accounts receivable. Lil man is an asset, and his maintenance is being scheduled. Collateral perspective. A younger sister of a member hears the DP happening in the next room. She hears the grunts of her brother and the rhythmic thud of fists hitting his chest. She turns up the volume on the TV. This is her normal. The sound of internal corporate discipline is the soundtrack to her childhood. She learns early that love is conditional on production. The sets box is a symbol of the pyramid's long-term sustainability. It ensures that even when individuals fall, the institution has the capital to continue its operations. The strategic layer is where the pyramid becomes truly corporate. These are the OGs, original gangsters, and the shot callers. Many of these men are in their 40s or 50s. Some have spent more time in Pelican Bay or Corcoran State Prison than on the streets. They are the board of directors. They do not touch drugs. They do not touch guns. They operate through layers of intermediaries to ensure that no physical evidence ever links them to a crime. The shot caller is the chief executive. He dictates the green light orders, authorizing the assassination of a rival leader or a purge of internal liabilities. These orders are often sent via kites, tiny, handwritten notes smuggled out of prison, or through encrypted apps on smuggled cell phones. The OGs focus on the big picture, territorial expansion, high-level narcotics plugs, and maintaining the wall of silence. The wall of silence is the cultural and psychological barrier that prevents the lower tiers from ever testifying against the upper management. It is reinforced by the no-snitching mythos, which is marketed to the youth as honor, but serves the OGs as a non-disclosure agreement. In a maximum security cell, a man known as the General sits on his bunk. He hasn't seen the sun in 3 years. Yet, with a single whispered sentence to a visitor, he can shut down a multi-million-dollar drug operation or start a war that will leave 5 teenagers dead by Monday. He is the ultimate beneficiary of the Crimson Pyramid. He is insulated by 3 layers of subordinates who will all go to prison to protect his name. He isn't a rebel. He's a CEO who has successfully externalized all his risks onto his labor force. The unifying theory of the Crimson Pyramid is that it is a self-sustaining ecosystem of despair. It cannot be stopped by simply arresting the leaders because the hierarchy is designed to be plug and play. When a shot caller goes to prison, he simply moves his office to a cell. When a TYG is killed, there are 10 more 12-year-olds on milk crates waiting for their put-on. The system persists because it offers the only visible career path in an environment where the traditional ladders of success have been kicked away. It is a military-industrial complex of the streets that thrives on the poverty of its employees and the silence of its collateral. The Bloods are not a gang. They are a corporate entity that specializes in the management of violence and the liquidation of human potential. The game is rigged. It is a carousel where the music is sirens and the prizes are tombstones. We look at the red bandanas and see rebellion, but we should be looking at the structure and seeing exploitation. The Crimson Pyramid doesn't care about the set. It doesn't care about the block. It only cares about the survival of the apex. As long as the math of the pyramid remains profitable for the few at the top, the meat grinder at the bottom will never stop turning. The expansion of the Crimson Pyramid requires more than just foot soldiers. It requires a sophisticated understanding of geography and logistics. Territorial warfare in the blood sets of Los Angeles is not a series of random emotional outbursts. It is a calculated annexation of market share. When a set like the Bounty Hunters or the Elm Street Pirates decides to move on a rival corner, they don't just go for a ride. They conduct reconnaissance. They map out the response times of the local precinct. They identify the buffer zones, those neutral stretches of asphalt where a hit can be executed with minimal risk of immediate retaliation. This is the war room phase of the corporate gang structure. The economics of war are staggering. A single week of active conflict can deplete the set's box by thousands of dollars. Ammunition is a recurring operational expense. High-capacity magazines and reliable sidearms, often sourced from states with lax gun laws like Arizona or Nevada, command a premium on the black market. Then there is the legal contingency fund. When a soldier is knocked during a mission, the set must decide if he is worth the bail. If he is a TYG with no prior record, he might be left to rot as a business loss. If he is a YG with deep institutional knowledge, the OGS will scramble the cash to get him back on the street before he talks. This is the cold calculus of the pyramid. Every life has a price tag, and every bullet is an entry on a balance sheet. A silver SUV cruises at exactly 5 miles under the speed limit through the outskirts of a rival Crip-controlled neighborhood. The windows are up, the AC is humming, and the 3 men inside look like they're heading to a job site. They are. The man in the passenger seat holds a cracked iPhone, recording the locations of every lookout on the block. He notes the color of the gate at the corner store and the fact that the streetlights are out on 114th. This is scouting. There are no bandanas visible. No signs are thrown. They are ghosts in the machine, collecting intelligence for a green light that will be authorized 3 levels above them. They are the data analysts of the set, preparing the groundwork for a hostile takeover. The shop owners in these buffer zones live in a state of hypervigilance. Mrs. Gable, who has run a small bodega for 20 years, knows the pre-war signs better than the police. She sees the lack of foot traffic. She notices when the regulars stop hanging out by the payphones. She starts closing her shop 2 hours early, sacrificing her slim profit margins for the sake of not being behind the counter when the work begins. To her, the pyramid isn't a theory. It's a predatory neighbor that dictates whether she can pay her rent. The collateral damage of these tactical shifts is the total strangulation of local commerce. The Crimson Pyramid doesn't stop at the prison gates. It merely changes its operating system. The California Department of Corrections, CDC, is the university where the pyramid's management is refined. When a member is sent upstate, he isn't leaving the gang. He is being promoted to the corporate office. Inside facilities like Pelican Bay or Corcoran, the Bloods operate with a level of discipline that would shame a corporate HR department. This is where the kite system becomes the primary method of communication. A kite is a microscopic slip of paper, written in cramped, coded script, that carries orders from the shot callers to the streets. These notes are keistered or smuggled out through visiting rooms, ensuring the board of directors maintains a real-time grip on the block's operations. The prison system serves as a filtering mechanism. It strips away the claimers and the weak, leaving behind a core of hardened ideologues who view the set as their only true nation. This is where the wall of silence is fortified. In the yard, there are no accidents. Every movement is tracked. Every interaction with a guard is scrutinized. If a member is suspected of being a leak, the board issues a removal order before the sun sets. The pyramid uses the prison system as a high-pressure forge, turning low-level street thugs into sophisticated, general figures who understand that information is the only weapon that truly matters. In a cell measuring 6 by 9 feet, an OG known as Saints prepares a kite. He uses a golf pencil sharpened against the concrete floor to write on a strip of paper the size of a gum wrapper. The message is simple. The 112 line is leaking. Tighten the valve. He is ordering a purge of the TYGS who have been talking too much to the local narcs. He folds the paper into a tiny square, wraps it in plastic, and waits for the runner, a janitor or a corrupt guard, to pass his cell. Saints hasn't seen the block in 15 years, but through this scrap of paper, he will determine who lives and dies on it tonight. He is the CEO of a remote work empire. The mothers and wives left behind are the unseen logistics of the pyramid. They are the ones who manage the money orders to the commissaries. They are the ones who transport the kites. They are the ones who provide the safe houses where burners are stored between missions. The pyramid relies on the emotional labor and loyalty of women to stay functional. These women are often trapped in a sunk cost fallacy. They have already lost a son or a brother to the pyramid, so they feel they must protect the ones who are left, even if it means facilitating the very system that destroyed their family. They are the secretaries, the couriers, and the silent partners of the Crimson Pyramid. A woman named Tasha waits in a 4-hour line at the prison gates. Her purse contains $300 in cash, money she made working double shifts at a diner, which she will kick up to her boyfriend's commissary account. She also has a message memorized. She is the encryption key. When she sees him behind the glass, she won't talk about the business. She will use family talk to relay the status of the box on the street. The kids are doing okay, but the rent is high, she tells him. Translated, the set is short on cash, and the police pressure is increasing. She walks out of the prison feeling like a supportive partner. In the eyes of the law, she is a logistical node in a criminal enterprise. The internal judiciary of the set is where the code is enforced with medieval brutality. This isn't just about no snitching. It's about brand integrity. If a member is caught using the product, becoming a basehead, he is viewed as a liability to the company's reputation. A member who gets high on his own supply cannot be trusted with a firearm or a secret. The enforcers handle these internal audits. A violation is a public spectacle designed to remind the lower tiers that the pyramid is always watching. It is a form of internal marketing. The set is strong, and the set is pure. The ritual of the DP, departmental pull-aside, takes place in a garage with the music turned up to drown out the noise. A YG who skipped his post to see a girl is made to stand in the center of a circle. He is given 30 seconds of heart. 2 enforcers beat him with full force, targeting the body to avoid leaving marks that might attract police attention. This is quality control. When the 30 seconds are up, the enforcers hug him. "We do this because we love you," they say. This is the psychological grooming that makes the pyramid so hard to dismantle. It mimics the structure of a family while practicing the discipline of a cartel. The exit fallacy is the final, most cruel layer of the pyramid. The promise made to every TYG is that if they put in work and stay loyal, they will eventually reach the top and get out of the rain. But the pyramid is mathematically designed to prevent retirement. The higher you climb, the more people want you dead, both rivals and the ambitious young gangsters below you. There is no pension. There is no golden parachute. The only way out of the pyramid is the 2 Ps, prison or the pavement. The OGS who manage to survive are often so institutionalized that they cannot function in a world where they aren't somebody on the block. They stay because the game is the only thing that gives their life a sense of order. An older man, Big Hawk, sits on his porch watching the new TYGS cycle through the corner. He is 55, a miracle in this zip code. He has OG status, but he has no money. His knees are ruined from years on the concrete, and his lungs are heavy from prison-grade tobacco. He sees a police cruiser turn the corner and he feels the familiar spike of adrenaline, the same one he felt 30 years ago. He realizes he is still on duty. He can never stop watching. He can never stop thinking about who might be coming for his spot. He is a retired executive who still has to check under his car for bombs every morning. The pyramid doesn't let you go. It just stops paying you. The machine of the block cannot be stopped because it has become the shadow state. In neighborhoods where the government has failed to provide safety, employment, or a sense of belonging, the pyramid fills the vacuum. It offers a clear, albeit lethal, hierarchy. It offers a living wage to those who are otherwise unemployable. It offers a sense of sovereignty to a people who feel occupied by the police. The Crimson Pyramid is not a glitch in the American dream. It is the dark reflection of it. It is raw, unregulated capitalism in its most violent form. The game continues because the alternatives have been systematically erased. The Crimson Pyramid is a masterpiece of social engineering. It has turned the survival instinct of the youth against them, channeling their heart into a structure that is designed to consume them. It has created a language of loyalty that ensures the protection of the predators at the top. It has turned the block into a factory where the only output is trauma. We look at the red colors and see a gang. We should look at the hierarchy and see a prison where the walls are made of respect and the guards are your brothers. The Crimson Pyramid does not exist in a vacuum. To maintain its dominance on the streets of Los Angeles or the suburbs of Houston, it must interface with the global economy of illicit trade. This is the vendor relationship phase. The Bloods are essentially the last-mile delivery service for international drug cartels, primarily the Sinaloa Cartel and the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, CJNG. These organizations do not care about sets or colors. They care about throughput. The OGS and shot callers act as the procurement officers. They negotiate the wholesale price of bulk narcotics, fentanyl, cocaine, and methamphetamine, which is then broken down into smaller, more profitable units as it moves down the pyramid. The trap house is the fundamental business unit of this distribution network. It is not just a dilapidated building. It is a high-volume retail outlet with 24/7 operations, shift rotations, and a security detail. The overhead includes rent, often paid through extortion or to a clean shell owner, the cost of the work, and the tax paid back to the sets box. A high-performing trap house can generate 5 figures in a single weekend. The TYGS handle the hand-to-hand transactions, while the YGS provide the muscle and the OYGS manage the inventory. This is the assembly line of the Crimson Pyramid. If the line stops, the pyramid starves. A white nondescript van pulls into the parking lot of a suburban strip mall, miles away from the project housing. Inside, an OG known as Vulture meets with a man in a crisp polo shirt. No guns are drawn. No threats are made. This is a corporate meeting. Vulture hands over a vacuum-sealed bag of cash. The man in the polo shirt provides a GPS coordinate for a locker in a public storage facility. The transaction takes 90 seconds. Vulture is the logistics officer. He isn't a street thug tonight. He is a procurement specialist ensuring that the inventory for 5 different blood sets is replenished. The cartel doesn't see a gang member. They see a reliable distributor. 3 miles away, a woman named Mrs. Higgins lives next door to one of these trap houses. She hears the constant knock-knock of the front door. She sees the stream of customers, some in luxury cars, some on foot, who fuel the pyramid's profits. Her property value is 0. Her sleep is non-existent. She is the externalized cost of the Blood's business model. The pyramid profits because it doesn't have to pay for the social destruction it causes. Mrs. Higgins pays that bill every time she has to wash the smell of cook off her curtains or ignore the sound of a fist hitting a face in the yard next door. The pyramid's internal stability is maintained through the Internal Affairs Department, the enforcer. The enforcer is a role of pure utility. They are the ones who handle the internal audits. When a member is suspected of skimming off the top or low-siding, selling weak product and pocketing the difference, the enforcer is dispatched. This is not a random act of violence. It is a corrective measure designed to protect the brand. The Blood's reputation for quality and discipline is their only competitive advantage in a crowded market. If a set becomes sloppy, it becomes a target for both the police and rival sets. The psychology of the enforcer is a study in compartmentalization. They must be able to inflict extreme trauma on people they call brothers. This requires a complete detachment from empathy, replaced by a fanatical devotion to the code. The enforcer doesn't see a friend. They see a broken gear in the machine that needs to be replaced or repaired. This role is often given to the most promising YGs, those who have proven they can follow orders without question. It is the ultimate test of corporate loyalty. In a darkened kitchen, a YG named K-Mac stands over a younger boy who is trembling. The boy lost a pack of 20 rocks during a foot pursuit with the police. In any other business, this would be an insurance claim. In the pyramid, it's a debt. K-Mac doesn't yell. He speaks in a low, somber tone. The set paid for that. Now you pay the set. He hands the boy a cigarette and tells him to turn around. The discipline is quick and surgical. A deliberate burn or a broken wing, a snapped collarbone. K-Mac doesn't enjoy it. He does it because if he doesn't, the OYG will see him as the liability. The violence is the glue that keeps the hierarchy from dissolving into freelancing. The collateral perspective. A local paramedic, Marcus, responds to the call. He sees the accidental injuries that look exactly like the violations he's seen 100 times before. He knows the boy is lying about how he got hurt. He knows the brothers standing on the porch are the ones who did it. Marcus sees the medical debt of the community rising. Every violation is a bill sent to the public healthcare system. The pyramid's human resources policy is a public health crisis that the rest of the city has to subsidize. The digital landscape has transformed the Crimson Pyramid into a 24-hour media entity. We are now in the era of cyberbanging. Social media platforms like Instagram, TikTok, and X have become the new frontier. A set's territory is no longer just physical. It is digital. Clout is now a form of capital. A YG who disses a rival set on a viral video can increase his stock within the pyramid, but he also creates a massive security risk. The digital footprint of the gang is a double-edged sword. It acts as a recruitment tool, painting a glamorous picture of wealth and power, but it also provides a roadmap for federal investigators. The economics of clout are dangerous. A viral moment can lead to a green light faster than a territorial dispute. The pyramid's leadership often struggles to control the younger generation's desire for digital fame. The OGs, who grew up in an era of silence, view the TikTok gangsters as a threat to the wall of silence. Yet, they recognize that the brand must be maintained. The conflict between old-school secrecy and new-school visibility is the primary internal tension of the modern blood set. A 15-year-old TYG holds a stack of $100 bills in front of a ring light in his bedroom. He flashes a Pyru sign and raps a verse about a recent shooting. The video gets 50,000 views in 2 hours. He feels like a king. He doesn't see the blue car 3 blocks away where a rival crip is watching the same video, identifying the posters on the wall and the view out the window to pinpoint the boy's location. The boy is trading his life for likes. To the pyramid, he is a marketing expense who is about to be liquidated. To the rivals, he is a high-value target who will provide them with their own clout when they retaliate. The local school counselor, Sarah, watches the engagement on these videos with a sense of dread. She sees the younger students, kids who haven't been put on yet, imitating the dances and the signs. The digital pyramid is reaching into the middle schools, grooming the next crop before they can even drive. The algorithm is the new recruiter. It feeds the glamour of the set to the most vulnerable children, ensuring that the labor force of the Crimson Pyramid remains self-replenishing. The generational debt is the final psychological trap. In many blood sets, membership is a family legacy. A legacy kid is someone whose father, uncles, or older brothers were all members. For these children, the pyramid isn't a choice. It's an inheritance. The code is taught alongside the alphabet. This creates a biological succession that makes the gang almost impossible to eradicate. You aren't just fighting a criminal organization. You are fighting a family tradition. In a small living room, a toddler plays with a red bandana while his father, a YG out on parole, looks on with pride. He's gonna be a big dog, the father says. He isn't thinking about the 10 years he just served. He isn't thinking about the friends he buried. He is projecting his own unfulfilled potential onto his son through the only lens he knows, the pyramid. The child is being socialized into a war zone before he can even speak. This is the succession plan of the Crimson Pyramid. It ensures that the game survives long after the current board of directors is gone. A grandmother, Mrs. Wallace, sits in the corner of the same room. She has buried 2 sons and a grandson. She sees the red bandana and feels a cold weight in her chest. She tries to suggest church or sports, but her voice is drowned out by the game. She is the memory of the block, the one who knows that the pyramid never gives back what it takes. She is the living proof that the brotherhood is a lie, yet she is powerless to stop the cycle from claiming another generation. The unifying theory of the Crimson Pyramid is that it is a closed loop. It is a machine that converts the heart of the youth into the wealth of the elders and the product of the cartels. It is a system that thrives on its own failures. Every time a member is killed, it creates a martyr that inspires more recruitment. Every time a member is imprisoned, it creates a professor who can teach the next generation. The pyramid doesn't fear the police or the law. It incorporates them into its business model. The war on drugs is simply a market regulation that keeps prices high and the competition low. The game is the ultimate distraction. It keeps the community focused on red versus blue, while the Crimson Pyramid extracts the lifeblood of the neighborhood. It is a corporate entity that has mastered the art of cultural capture. It has made itself synonymous with identity and survival. To leave the pyramid is to lose yourself. This is why the machine cannot be stopped. It isn't just a gang. It's a religion of the streets, and the only tithe is your life. The Crimson Pyramid is a masterclass in exploitation. It has taken the most basic human needs, belonging, protection, and purpose, and monetized them through violence. It has built a hierarchy that ensures the capital, the OGS, is protected while the labor, the YGS, is liquidated. It is a predatory corporation that operates without a board of ethics, without a regulator, and without a conscience. As long as the pyramid remains the only structure standing in the ruins of the inner city, the game will never end. The red sun will continue to rise over the block, and the Crimson Pyramid will continue to feed. The exit strategy in the Crimson Pyramid is a carefully maintained myth. In traditional corporate structures, a tenured employee might retire with a pension and a plaque. In the Bloods, the Human Resources Department is replaced by a perpetual obligation. This is the sunk cost fallacy of the streets. Once a member has put in work, committed a felony or a violent act on behalf of the set, he is no longer just an employee. He is a co-conspirator. The set holds his criminal history as collateral. If he attempts to walk away, he is viewed as a security leak. A former member with intimate knowledge of the box, the plugs, and the shot callers is a walking liability. The code dictates that the only clean break from the pyramid is through the morgue. The economics of leaving are equally prohibitive. Most members reach their late 20s with a resume that consists of nothing but street-level distribution and tactical defense. They have no credit score, no verifiable work history, and a jacket, a criminal record, that makes them radioactive to the legal economy. This is the employment choke point. The pyramid deliberately keeps its labor force unemployable in the outside world to ensure their total dependency on the set. The living wage provided by the trap house becomes a gilded cage. To leave the pyramid is to choose poverty, social isolation, and the constant threat of being greenlit by former brothers who view your departure as a betrayal of the collective. A 32-year-old OYG named Big Solo sits in a fluorescent-lit office of a community reentry program. He's wearing a long-sleeved shirt to hide the tattoos that map out his loyalty to the 135 Pyru. Across from him, a caseworker looks at his empty job application. "What can you do, Marcus?" she asks, using his real name. He thinks about his real skills. He can manage a 10-man security detail. He can oversee the logistics of a $50,000 a week narcotics operation, and he can detect a police surveillance van from 2 blocks away. But none of that is transferable. He realizes that to the world, he is a high school dropout with a violent past. He leaves the office and walks past a red-clad TYG on the corner. The boy nods with respect. In that moment, the temptation to return to the pyramid, where he is a king instead of a nobody, is almost overwhelming. This is the gravity of the block. The non-players in this exit drama are the interventionists, former gang members who try to pull kids out of the pyramid. They are essentially de-radicalization specialists. They operate in the red zone, trying to convince a 14-year-old that the OGS are lying to him. Their work is a constant battle against the pyramid's marketing department. Every time an interventionist successfully pulls a kid out, the set views it as product loss. The life of a peacemaker in Nickerson Gardens or Compton is a high-wire act. They must remain neutral enough to talk to the shot callers while actively undermining their recruitment efforts. The survival of the Crimson Pyramid is also reinforced by its rivalry economics. The existence of the Crips, the blue market, is the best thing that ever happened to the Bloods' corporate stability. A war provides a constant external threat that justifies the internal hierarchy. It allows the OGS to demand absolute loyalty and to tax the members for the defense fund. Without the blue threat, the lower tiers might begin to question why they are taking all the risk for so little profit. The red versus blue binary is a market stabilizer. It ensures that the employees are too focused on the enemy across the street to notice the predator sitting at the top of their own pyramid. This rivalry mimics the duopoly seen in the airline or soft drink industries. By keeping the community divided into two warring factions, the gangs ensure that there is no neutral ground. You are forced to choose a side for protection, which feeds both pyramids simultaneously. The violence is the advertising budget that keeps both brands relevant. The exit strategy in the Crimson Pyramid is a carefully maintained myth. In traditional corporate structures, a tenured employee might retire with a pension and a plaque. In the Bloods, the Human Resources Department is replaced by a perpetual obligation. This is the sunk cost fallacy of the streets. Once a member has put in work, committed a felony or a violent act on behalf of the set, he is no longer just an employee. He is a co-conspirator. The set holds his criminal history as collateral. If he attempts to walk away, he is viewed as a security leak. A former member with intimate knowledge of the box, the plugs, and the shot callers is a walking liability. The code dictates that the only clean break from the pyramid is through the morgue. The economics of leaving are equally prohibitive. Most members reach their late 20s with a resume that consists of nothing but street-level distribution and tactical defense. They have no credit score, no verifiable work history, and a jacket, a criminal record, that makes them radioactive to the legal economy. This is the employment choke point. The pyramid deliberately keeps its labor force unemployable in the outside world to ensure their total dependency on the set. The living wage provided by the trap house becomes a gilded cage. To leave the pyramid is to choose poverty, social isolation, and the constant threat of being greenlit by former brothers who view your departure as a betrayal of the collective. A 32-year-old OYG named Big Solo sits in a fluorescent-lit office of a community re-entry program. He's wearing a long-sleeved shirt to hide the tattoos that map out his loyalty to the 135 Pyru. Across from him, a caseworker looks at his empty job application. "What can you do, Marcus?" she asks, using his real name. He thinks about his real skills. He can manage a 10-man security detail. He can oversee the logistics of a $50,000 a week narcotics operation, and he can detect a police surveillance van from 2 blocks away. But none of that is transferable. He realizes that to the world, he is a high school dropout with a violent past. He leaves the office and walks past a red-clad TYG on the corner. The boy nods with respect. In that moment, the temptation to return to the pyramid, where he is a king instead of a nobody, is almost overwhelming. This is the gravity of the block. The non-players in this exit drama are the interventionists, former gang members who try to pull kids out of the pyramid. They are essentially de-radicalization specialists. They operate in the red zone, trying to convince a 14-year-old that the OGS are lying to him. Their work is a constant battle against the pyramid's marketing department. Every time an interventionist successfully pulls a kid out, the set views it as product loss. The life of a peacemaker in Nickerson Gardens or Compton is a high-wire act. They must remain neutral enough to talk to the shot callers while actively undermining their recruitment efforts. The survival of the Crimson Pyramid is also reinforced by its rivalry economics. The existence of the Crips, the blue market, is the best thing that ever happened to the Blood's corporate stability. A war provides a constant external threat that justifies the internal hierarchy. It allows the OGS to demand absolute loyalty and to tax the members for the defense fund. Without the blue threat, the lower tiers might begin to question why they are taking all the risk for so little profit. The red versus blue binary is a market stabilizer. It ensures that the employees are too focused on the enemy across the street to notice the predator sitting at the top of their own pyramid. This rivalry mimics the duopoly seen in the airline or soft drink industries. By keeping the community divided into two warring factions, the gangs ensure that there is no neutral ground. You are forced to choose a side for protection, which feeds both pyramids simultaneously. The violence is the advertising budget that keeps both brands relevant. The unifying theory of the Crimson Pyramid is that the game is not a failure of society, but a functioning, alternative society. It is a response to the social death experienced in the urban core. When the state retreats from providing security and economic opportunity, the pyramid steps in. It is a totalitarian corporation. It provides a justice system, the enforcers, a social safety net, the box, and a national identity, the set. It cannot be arrested away because you cannot arrest a structural necessity. The only way to dismantle the pyramid is to make it obsolete, to provide a market that offers more than the set. But the pyramid is resilient. It has survived the crack epidemic of the 80s, the three strikes laws of the 90s, and the mass incarcerations of the 2000s. Each assault on the structure only served to refine it. The war on gangs acted as a selective pressure, killing off the weak and disorganized sets while leaving behind the most corporate, disciplined, and ruthless iterations of the Bloods. The Crimson Pyramid we see today is the apex predator of street organizations, a machine that has learned to feed on the very forces designed to destroy it. The block is quiet at 3 a.m. A single street lamp flickers over the entrance to an alleyway. A TYG, no older than 13, sits on a milk crate. He is the night shift. He is cold, tired, and hungry. He looks up as a black Mercedes-Benz rolls slowly past. The tinted window slides down halfway, and an OG looks out. He doesn't say a word, he just nods. The boy sits up straighter. He feels a surge of pride. He feels seen. He doesn't realize that the man in the car is looking at him the same way a rancher looks at a head of cattle. The boy thinks he is a warrior. The pyramid knows he is inventory. As the car pulls away, the boy resumes his watch, guarding a kingdom that will eventually consume him. The game is a closed loop of human capital and trauma. The Crimson Pyramid is the architecture of that loop. It is a masterpiece of exploitation that turns the victim into the victimizer, and the brother into the boss. We look at the red bandanas and see rebellion. We should look at the hierarchy and see a factory, where the only product is the next generation of shot callers, who will oversee the next generation of TYGS on milk crates. The sun will rise again over 112th Street. The box will be counted, the violations will be handed out, and the pyramid will remain. It is the only thing that ever does. The Crimson Pyramid is a brutal testament to the human ability to organize under pressure. It is a grim reminder that when hope is removed, order is maintained through fear and the promise of a brotherhood that doesn't exist. This is the corporate anatomy of the Bloods, not a gang, but a multi-generational, self-liquidating engine of the American underworld. It is a machine that operates in the shadows of the skyscrapers, proving that even in the most advanced society on Earth, the most primitive structures of power are the ones that never fail.